Good morning, children. Welcome to history session of K-Tech High School and Junior College. Children, today in our history session, we will be doing chapter number 3, Applied History, Part 2. So let's get started with our lesson Applied History Part 2. Now the topic that we will be doing is technology. Now children, what does technology means? Now, and why it is very important to know the history of technology? Now as you all know, there are certain new methods which keep on coming and which makes one's life easier, and that is we are talking about science and technology. Now science and technology, children, go together. They are dependent on each other. Let us see how history of technology helps in understanding the cause and the change in the field of agricultural production, commodity production, architecture and engineering. Children, as we all know, the technology, that is a new methods that keeps on coming in science. It has advanced and there are many changes that have taken place. So the first thing we need to know the changes in technological history. What are the changes? Now let us see. First thing is agricultural production. Now children, when we are talking about agricultural production, now who are the people involved in farming? Definitely farmers, and the farmers previously were using wooden plows and ox to plow their fields. Nowadays, because of technology, there are many machines like tractors that does all the work related to agriculture, like sowing, plowing, harvesting, winnowing, etc. And this machine does a better work. It leads to increase in production. Now children, the next is commodity production. Now what does commodity means? Now commodity means some goods. Now let's again take an example of a farmer. If the farmer wants to earn more, he will produce more goods. That is, what is his goods and products? Crops. And that is we call as commodity. Now the crops, if he wants to grow, he will use machine in place of manpower, that is labor. He will use machine so that the production increases. As we all know that our needs keep on increasing, so there is also a change in methods of production. Now children, what did farmer use here to increase his production? Technology, right? Because he saw that when he used plows and oxen, the production did not increase and he had to toil a lot on farm. So see how the life of a farmer became very easy with the use of technology. The same thing implies with architecture and engineering. Now children, we all know that knowledge of science and technology was very important at every step from making of stone tools, that is a primitive method that was used, from making of stone tools and wooden tools that they use for farming, in the evolution of mankind, Later, the advancement of science promoted to mechanization, means invention of machines for production. So, it is necessary to know the history of technology. This technology helped them towards progress in making machines, which made their life easier. Now, children, let's move on to next topic, that is industry and commerce. Now, we have already seen that to understand science, technology, and philosophy, we should have the knowledge of history of science, history of technology, and history of philosophy. Similarly, children, we have to understand industry and commerce. And we should also have the knowledge of its history. The field of mutual social transaction expands with the growth of industry and trade. Now, here, what does transaction means? Any kind of exchange that expands with the growth of industry and trade. Now, if there is a growth in industry, there is expansion of social transaction of, I would say, ideas, opinions, culture, and tradition. Because people from different places settle in different places to do business, work, and earn their bread and butter. So there will be more industries and development. With the same, people will get more opportunities to prosper. This will lead to mutual interaction of culture, or we can say development of network of cultural interaction. It is integral part of industrial and commercial management. Now, children, what does it mean that if there are many industries set up using new technology, the people from villages move towards cities to do either business or work and to support their families. Now, when the people from different region come together, there is definitely social transaction, means they interact with each other. So we can say that is cultural interaction, means when they come together, they exchange ideas. So it is essential to understand the history of this process. Now, if we see the growth in industry and commerce, it is just because of the effect of past. But if we do not know past history of industries and commerce, then would we be able to develop in present time, children? Definitely not. Because when we saw the industries that were set up in past and we found certain new methods how our industries can develop, which would increase the production, like factories which have machines. Primitive methods were very difficult, but now today we have mechanized machine which does most of the work in industries. What is important here is we should have the knowledge of history of the industries of the past. Then only new invention is possible. If we did not have any knowledge, then this would not be possible. And we would not have progressed in present time. So children, we can say that knowledge, that is a past history of industry and commerce, is an integral part of industrial and commercial management. It is essential to understand the history of this process. Now, the next point is the nature of market and commerce has continued to change according to the nature of human relationship, and social organization has also continued to change. Now, what does this mean? Now, children, if we go to ancient times, the nature of business and commerce were very different, right? But it has kept on changing continuously from ancient time to modern times. Here, children, I'm talking about barter system. Now, formerly, barter system was prevalent. Barter system means what? There was no invention of money. So, suppose if I want a rice and I'm a farmer who's growing only wheat, so I will approach a farmer who grows rice and give my wheat in exchange as a transaction, we can say, right? To fulfill my basic need. So this was very difficult sometimes. Then, when men found it very difficult, he wanted to make his life easier, they started using gold, silver, and copper coins. Now, definitely, this also was very difficult because gold has higher value than copper and silver. So, children, people thought that there has to be something which should be used as a medium of exchange commonly, right? And when they went back into history, they also studied that it was very difficult, that is, barter system. This knowledge of history helped them in invention of currency, right? That became a medium of exchange. Today, children, we use currency notes, that is money. Now, this money was also very difficult. There was a fear of theft, and at times it was very difficult to carry cash also, huge amount. Now, this difficulty led to invention of plastic papers. Now, what is plastic paper I'm talking about? The credit card. And it has advanced to up to Paytm, right? We don't need to carry the cash. So, children, we don't know what is still going to happen in future. Future is unpredictable. Man is trying to make his life easier. Now, accordingly, even human relation and social organization has also changed along with the business and commerce. So, to understand this development, it is necessary to study history of culture, social organization, and economic institution. So, here, children, we are talking about banks. Economic institution means bank transaction. How the market system changed. So, to understand this cultural, social organization, and economic institution, it is important to know its history or past. Now, the next topic is management studies. Now, what is management? Means ways to manage things. Before, the ways of management was different, and today it is different. That is, the ways of managing things has developed. Now, this development is because it has the base in past. So, children, we should now know the history of management, and if we want to study history of management, we must try to understand various factors involved in the chain of production, like means of production, that is machines, raw materials, goods and services that were required for development. Human resources also is one of the chain of production, that is labor. So we have to understand similar process that took place in past, as well as chain of market. Now, what does chain of market means? Like we can say example that a market system, like when the goods were produced, it went to wholesalers, then it went to retailers, and then to customers. So the sales management, here we mean how the goods were supplied and on what was the base or on which it was supplied. If we are seeing the development in the means of production, chain of market, that is sales management, it is because of the past. If we want to understand management, children, we have to understand similar process of the past. It is very important, or we can say it is very essential to understand the psychology, that is a mindset, character of people working at various levels in the chain of production and marketing for healthy management. Now, what does it mean, children? It means that it is very important to understand psychology of people working at different levels. Like we are talking here about professionals and the people who work at lower level, that is laborers. Now, if the management children understands the mindset or the psychology of the people, then the working at the management level will be easy. Now let's see an example of it. Suppose if a worker demands increase in wages, and if the management hears their grievance, and if they receive the wages with increment and that also on time, then the workers will be able to work better. That means they can give better performance. That is, their mindset will be better. But children, on other end, if the situation is vice versa, means ulta, different, where the management refuses to hear the grievance of the workers, then the output of the workers will not be better. That is, their psychological character will not be in a right state. This may affect them. So, children, it is necessary to understand psychological character, then only the management can remain healthy. So, in order to understand psychological character, we must also understand social and economic institutions. Now, what does economic institution means? Here we are referring children to the banks. That is, bank always supports industrial and commercial process. Now, if a children here, another example we can say, a businessman wants to set up his business. He may require loan to invest. The more he invests, the more the production will be. That means the production level will rise and he can earn more profit. So now we know how that social and economic process is supported by economic institution, that is banks. Now if we have the knowledge of history, we can make management level easier. Now children, let's move on to our next topic, arts. Now here children, arts are of different types like dance, music, painting, sculpture, folk art. All these are ancient arts. Now, for that, we must know how these ancient arts develop, and if there is any development, we must have the knowledge of its history. So, children, it is very important to understand the development of various art forms, that is, how they develop, and with the help of their style of expression and their foundation in form of intellectual, emotional, cultural tradition. Here it means, like, I can give you an example, children. Suppose if we are dancing, right, then how do we dance? What happens? Definitely our facial expression is very important, and definitely there is a change in our facial expression. And when people watch it or when they see our performance, they may like it. But the next we can say about painting also. Now, suppose children, if we see a painting, we will see that there is a great difference in the painting that was done many years ago, that is ancient paintings, and modern paintings. Children, today we see that the art of painting is also much developed. We use different bright colors, right? And in ancient paintings, natural colors were used, like black and white, the color of the sand, bricks. So these colors were used in ancient times. Now, if painting also reveals the emotion of the artist, or you can say thoughts that were running in their mind. All these should also be taken care while studying history. The key to the expression in any art form, emotional temperament of the artist, and the developmental history of the respective art form can be understood with the help of cultural history. Now, what does this last point mean? That if we want to express any art form like painting, dancing, music, we should have feelings and emotions. Then only developmental history of respective art form can be understood with the help of cultural history. Now we know that in India there is one popular art of painting, that is Warli painting. So, children, it becomes a cultural tradition for us where we are associated, we are fond of. So, when we go to see these paintings in museum, it becomes a part of us. We are identifying ourselves as Indians because of the tribal art. So we need to understand how history plays important role for us to understand art, to protect art, and to preserve and conserve it for future. Now, the next topic is humanities. It is nothing but social science. It includes discipline subjects like history, archaeology, that is, the remains that we study after digging, a land that is, you all must have heard about Harappa civilization, sociology, that is a study of society, anthropology is a study of human behavior and its development, political science, study of politics, economics is a study of finance, financial institution, that is economy. To understand the history of the origin and development of these disciplines is an essential part of their learning. Here it means who started it, why was it started, and how it benefited people. We can only understand with history. All the disciplines are supposed to have their origin in philosophy. Ancient people all over the world tried to speculate. Speculate means understand. So, in order to understand the relationship between the universe and existence. Children, do you all remember how in philosophy people thought that a god was a center of society? Everything that happened because of certain supernatural or we can say magical forces or divine intervention. But later on, people began to challenge this ideology and said that no, man is the center of his feelings and his occupation, right? That should be considered as important. Now, all this gave rise to various mythological stories, that is, fictional stories, and how various gods were created, and how men had to perform certain rituals in order to please God. But later, as I told you, children, people began to challenge this ideology. Various disciplines have theoretical foundation based on philosophical theories. What does this mean, theoretical foundation? Means just theories. There was no practical evidence or no practical knowledge. Historical knowledge, if we have children, that will help us in understanding this developmental stage in humanities. Now, children, let's move on to new topic applied history and our present. That means how history can be applied in present day's life. Is it important? Why people study about it? Now, people often ask about practical value of history. What is practical value? Money wise. Can studying history bring bread and butter or can be a source of earning? The answer to this, children, you will get here only. The visible and invisible relics of the past which exist in present, we nurture some kind of curiosity, attractions towards them. Now, what does this mean? When we see some old monuments, relics of past, as we are humans, we have a lot of curiosity. So we are attracted towards them. We wish to know more about them because they represent creative thoughts and tradition of our ancestors. These relics are our heritage. Relics means remains of history. It helps in building our identity. The history of our heritage links us with the origin, means this relics is a direct link with our origin, what happened in past. Hence, it becomes necessary to preserve and conserve it for the future, for our benefit as well as for the benefit of future generation. So, applied history is concerned with preservation and conservation of our heritage and make it accessible to people, means available to people, publicly available, means it should be easy for us to approach this heritage or relics to understand our history. Heritage management creates opportunities of employment. Now, here, children, what does it mean when we talk about value of money? History is not going to bring any money, but definitely heritage management provides opportunity for employment. Children, we require certain experts to take care of our heritage, that is, relics, certain important documents. So, definitely, it gives them opportunity to earn, right? So, children, we can brief it out that applied history can be described as understanding of our present with the help of history and finding the right direction for the benefit of future. Now, let's move on to the next topic, management of cultural and natural heritage. Now, here, children, cultural heritage means ideas, customs, and social behavior. That is, behavior of a people in society. It is in the form of human creation. Definitely, it's created by man. It is of two types, tangible and intangible. Now, what does tangible mean? Tangible cultural heritage means the heritage, or you can say remains, relics, like forts, certain sites, buildings, manuscripts, olden manuscripts written by sages, paintings, all this that you can see and touch, that is feel, is called tangible cultural heritage. The second is intangible cultural heritage. Now, what is intangible cultural heritage? It's very opposite to tangible cultural heritage. Means certain heritage which you cannot see, feel, or touch. They are called intangible cultural heritage. This type of cultural heritage includes following things. Oral traditions means certain sources of information has been passed on from generation to generation through mouth and their language. Now, as you all know, children, Sanskrit is the oldest language. So, this is we know because we got to know orally from mouth to mouth, and many new languages were born from Sanskrit. Traditional knowledge, social customs and rituals, that is, certain rites that is performed while celebrating certain festivals like Diwali, Eid, right? You clean the house, light diyas during Diwali. do Lakshmi Puja, burst crackers. The second I can give you, Muslims fast during Ramzan and they celebrate Eid in a particular way. So these festivals you celebrate because you know that our ancestors also celebrated this festival in the same manner. So it's a tradition that has been passed on to you. Style of performing arts, that is music, dance, painting, etc. Certain traditional skills, community groups who represent such traditions, customs, and skills. So, children, this cultural heritage, like tangible and intangible heritage, they are very valuable, and it is our duty to take care of this heritage. The next topic is natural heritage. The concept of natural heritage gives importance to the thought of biodiversity. Now, the biodiversity, children, includes fauna, flora, and ecological and geomorphic characteristics. Now, when we talk about fauna and flora, fauna is the animals and flora are plants, and ecological and geomorphic characters are different types of landform and natural features of the region, which is very crucial in sustaining. Sustaining means supporting the life of flora and fauna of a particular region. Children, it is very essential to preserve this also for the benefit of the future generation. Children, there are certain plants and animals that are extinct, means they are no longer be seen anywhere in the world, like for dinosaurs. Do we see dinosaurs? No. Now, dinosaurs are no longer seen anywhere in the world. Similarly, we can say same thing about the animals and plants of our country, like tiger. It is on the verge of becoming extinct. It is our national animal also. So it needs to be preserved. So government has taken certain measures to protect this wildlife because for the benefit of our future. That means the future generation should know that this animals exists even today. So the government is trying their best to preserve this wildlife also. Now, there is children one organization who has undertaken this project of conservation and preservation, that is UNESCO. Now, what is the full form of UNESCO? The UNESCO full form is United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. Now, this organization has drafted certain directives, or you can say principles, with the objective of promoting. Promoting means helping to protect the cultural and natural heritage. On the basis of those directive, list of sites and traditions are declared as World Heritage. And this list is provided by UNESCO, and the government follows these directives to preserve the natural heritage. The list of UNESCO, which is presently declared, like Western Ghats of India, Kars Plateau, which is in a district of Satara, and a part of Western Ghat is declared as a World Heritage because in this Western Ghats we find different kinds of plants and animals which are our heritage and they need to be preserved. So, children, now I would request you all to switch on to page number 18. There are the list of heritages declared by UNESCO. Let's have a glance on it. There are certain Indian traditions declared as oral and intangible heritage by UNESCO. I will read for you some. Ramman, a religious festival and a ritual theatre of Garhwal, Himalayas. Then I would say Buddhist chanting of Ladakh, which is also considered as intangible oral heritage. The World Cultural Heritage Sites of India, definitely we all are aware of it. Agra Fort, that is Red Fort, Ajanta Caves, Taj Mahal, Sun Temple in Konark, the churches and convents of Goa, Elephanta Caves. This is a cultural heritage. Then I would say some natural heritage like natural parks. Kaziranga National Park, Sundarbans National Park, Western Ghats, which is recently declared, and our none other but the Great Himalayas, which is the tourist attraction. Children, the years are also mentioned in this list when and in which year these places were declared as cultural heritage. The cultural and natural heritage management is one of the main aspects of applied history. The work of conservation and preservation of cultural heritage falls under the jurisdiction of Archaeological Survey of India and Indian State Department of Archaeology. Besides intact, intact means Indian National Trust for Art and Cultural Heritage is working actively in this field, that is preserving this heritage. The work of conservation and the preservation of culture and natural heritage requires participation of experts, we can say, technical experts from various fields. They need to be duly aware, means they should know the importance of this natural heritage and they are the experts who takes initiative to preserve this natural heritage. They should be also aware of the cultural, social, and political histories of the heritage site, means of the past. Principles of applied history are useful in creating awareness among them. Let's see the principles of applied history that are useful in creating awareness among them. The first one is operations necessary for conservation, preservation, and development of heritage can be handled without causing any change in original state. Second is the local social structure and psychology of local people, challenges faced by them in present situation and their expectation can be surveyed in detail. This is the work of the experts if they are assigned about conservation and preservation of natural heritage. They have to look into these matters. Third, due precautions can be taken to avoid hurting sentiments of local people while completing the projects of conservation preservation and development of heritage site. Fourth, participation of local people in the project can be facilitated. Fifth, systematic plan can be designed to employ the local skills in creative way and create better opportunities of livelihood. That means the people who are working on this, they take a great care that they also do not hurt the sentiments of the people living in that particular heritage site because they are very attached to it. And when they're completing this project of preservation, they also can children include local people in this project, and the systematic plan has to be designed to employ the local skills. Local skills means local people who are very skilled in a creative way and create better opportunities of livelihood for them. That is, we're talking about local people. Now, children, let's move on to next topic, affiliated professional fields. Affiliated means related to certain professions. Now, knowledge of history can be supportive in decision making with regard to respective legal provisions and public policies in the following fields. Now, children, there are certain sites which are very, very, very ancient and they are on the verge of collapsing or falling, which could harm the people. Now, these experts see to it that this site, as they are important, they should not harm the local people because it is the heritage of the particular region and it is our history. So these experts make certain legal provisions and public policies. You all know what museums and archives are. Museums and archives, the first point, is nothing but the old documents that are preserved and kept for further research. Museum, you all know, the places where artifacts are preserved. The second is preservation and conservation of historical site. These children, of course, the experts make sure that no damage or harm is done to certain documents and historical sites. The third is tourism and hospitality. Now, of course, you all know tourism, that is when people come from various countries to see various historical sites in our country. That is tourism. And hospitality means places like hotels for them to stay and how well we greet them, especially foreign tourists. Are they treated well? All this plays a very important role. The fourth is entertainment and mass media. Of course, we make sure that the people who come from various parts of the world is made aware of these historical tourist sites in India, and therefore mass media and entertainment plays an important role. Again, children, there are few interesting facts given to you. The first is Indian Museum in Kolkata. The Indian Museum at Kolkata was founded by Asiatic Society in 1814 CE. Now, in the previous chapter, you all have done who founded? Yes, Sir William Jones founded this society. Nathaniel Wallach, a Danish botanist. A botanist means who? A person who studies about plants is called botanist. He was the founder and the first curator. Curator means a person who protects and collects certain artifacts to display in museum. The photograph of a museum is seen here is dated to 1905. The museum has three main departments: arts, archaeology, and anthropology. Other affiliated departments are conservation, publication, photography, exhibition presentation, model making, training, library, security. Now, it is interesting to know archives preserve and store all the documents, official records, old films, etc. The National Archives of India is in Delhi. However, every state in India maintains its archives independently. If within the state there are various archives that need to be preserved and documented, then it goes to state archives. Archives with distinct purpose. The main office of National Archives of Films in India is located in Pune, Maharashtra. It was established in 1964 as the media unit of Ministry of Information and Broadcasting of the Indian government. It was set up for three objectives, that is aims, and it served three objectives like to search and obtain rare Indian films, the ancient films that which were uh, recorded and filmed but there were no sound, and to preserve the heritage for the future generation. Definitely these films also is our heritage because we learn many things from this past heritage. Second is to categorize important aspects of film to create documentation and catalogs and carry out research in the field. Now, categorize means to group certain important aspects of the film, documents and catalog, and then carry out research in that particular field. So the last is to establish center for dissemination of film culture. Now, what does dissemination means? Spreading of film culture so that they can make other people aware and make more curious so that they can also come and learn about film culture. So, children, to sum it up, every field mentioned in this chapter requires expert personnel, people that is expertise with specialized skills, for example, architects, engineers, historians, archaeologists, museum curator, sociologists, archive management professionals, legal experts, skilled photographers, etc. Of course, this is just a representative list. The help of the expert from many more fields is required. These experts need to have adequate knowledge of ancient sites, historical background of the cultural remains and artifacts. Projects in the field of applied history can create various opportunities for these professionals. In this lesson, children, we learned about the role of applied history in public training programs for understanding the importance of history, for creating social awareness regarding conservation, preservation of our cultural and natural heritage, using knowledge of history for this purpose to enhance professional skills of people and to develop industrial commercial field to carry out preparatory work and plan for effective implementation of heritage projects, etc. It is essential to avoid vandalizing of historic and public places and to ensure that they are preserved for the benefits of future generation. Now, children, what does vandalizing mean? Vandalizing means destroying or damaging of historical and public places. Children, let's do quick recap of the chapter. What did we study in this chapter? Role of implied history in public training program to understand importance of history, create social awareness on conservation and preservation of cultural natural heritage. Using knowledge of history for this purpose enhances professional skills of the people and develop industrial and commercial field. Carry preparatory work and plan for effective implementations of heritage projects. Avoid vandalizing of historic and public places. Ensure preservation for the benefit of future generation. These are the topics that we covered. I hope you all understood the lesson, and with that we end our session. Thank you, children. Love you all. See you with new topic in new session.